Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the official Ark podcast here every Thursday, back with number 419. My name's Coach NMT, and I'm here live today with the core team. Your host for tonight, as always, the captain on board the Ark, the one and only Mr. Atlas. Hope you're doing well, sir.
Thank you for the introduction, Coach MT. And folks, welcome back to another edition of the Ark Weekly Podcast. Thursdays, this one's January 18th. Boy, we just finished a community breathing sessions here with Coach Roberto, all the way live from always sunny, always warm Miami. Did a nice box breathing here, shared vision. Boy, it's been a fantastic week. We have Alex. He is on vacation until Sunday. He's hitting the slopes in Austria, enjoying time with the family, getting the skiing in. At the same time, we are also continuing our integration to developers of our new mega partner. That's what we're calling them, mega. Their developers are working, integrating. I believe by Saturday, the on-ramp here at Ark that you've all grown to love and use, no KYC. They're going to be bringing it live to their community. So we're looking forward to that first release, as this is a process of different stages. I'm not doing everything all at once. Everything has to be done in a specific order, debugging, testing, and so forth. So we're looking forward. They've been granted full access to connect, to build on top of what we've built, to take advantage of what we have been able to develop here, which is nothing short of fantastic products that are easy to use, intuitive, safe. The feedback from them has been amazing. So great to see a mega project really partner and integrate with us and bring to their community of investors what we've cooked up here in this past year. We also continue with the development on the security products. Looking forward to the end of Q1 this year. And boy, there's just so much more coming. There's always another layer to the onion, as Mr. Brent Nordin likes to say. He's going to be coming on stage here shortly to bring us to the details. But do stay tuned. We have Mr. Z live and direct from London. He's going to be bringing us up to speed of what's really happening, not the hype, not these YouTubers that are clickbaiting you. And I mean, you got to be careful out there, folks. There's so many opinions. There's so many narratives. There's so many ways that people want to push in their direction that, of course, benefits those content creators. There's powers that be. James at the water coolers, called me this week, even said, hey, should I sell my Bitcoin and buy an ETF? Oh my God, sheesh. Come on, brother James. Take it easy there, buddy. Happy days ahead. Great to see you all here. If you're listening on YouTube, please make sure to smash the like, leave a comment. If you have a question, you can place it there too, or on our Twitter. You can also reach us here on Telegram, 24 hours, 7 days a week. It'll be a great year. A lot of happy days are ahead, folks. The Ark is continuing its journey, and it's only getting better and better. Let's get this crypto. Mr. Brett Nordin, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. You hear me okay?
Perfect. Loud and clear.
Yeah, we've had a great week of developments. We actually had our latest demo just this past Tuesday, and we got some more video footage of the development work on the privacy products today. So some good updates. We're moving along. The test environment is open for us to play with internally. So I've been diving in there and just playing around with the email function, storage functions, and things that have been completed so far. We're real close to finishing up the email now. We've got about another week of connecting front end and back end and reviewing some of the features that are available and making sure. In parallel with that, we're working now on the password management system. A lot of the back end work is getting finished. This is, a completely organic build. So we are utilizing our decentralized storage for that system. So your passwords and everything are going to be fully encrypted based on your zero knowledge. So your passphrase that you use when you create the account, and then those passwords and everything are locked in basically a vault, a storage vault. And when you go to utilize that can autofill and help with the account setup, generate strong passwords, as well as save those into your vault. And so while you're using the app, all of this will be at your fingertips to add user logins, delete user logins, add email addresses to those various logins, things like that, so that you can manage all of your passwords in one place. And we're using decentralized storage methods as well as zero knowledge encryption. So pretty exciting stuff. Still not aware of anybody else that's using these for this type of application. We know there's some really big players on the scene for password managers, and they built multi-million-dollar businesses with just that one function alone. So combining this all together creates a really nice identity shielding and privacy application, obviously. So with the email combined with the password manager, you can create alias emails. We've kind of gone through this before, but that's really what keeps your identity from getting discovered on all these social media accounts, on these platforms where they might sell your information, or if they get hacked and compromised, then your email address and your password that you might typically use on other accounts is exposed. And that's really one of the biggest threats out there. If you have the same email, the same passwords used on multiple accounts, that's just opening the door for a very easy either black market play on your information that gets hacked and stolen if one of these sites is compromised. And then they'll have access to everything else that you might be accessing online through your IP address or whatever else. They can easily track down what other accounts you have and then be able to access those. So those might be financial accounts, crypto accounts, whatever it is. Then gain access that way, take over your email address, and then start to exploit and steal funds, steal information, whatever it might be. So all of these combined together just create a nice layering system of security, of privacy, of encryption that just make it really, really difficult for any hacker or government agency, even at that level, from censoring you, from stealing your information, from snooping around, surveilling what you're doing online. And so, we're getting really close to starting now on the DVPN, building out the back-end system on that. We've got most of the design completed now. So now it's just a matter of putting everything together. And that will be the last kind of major component before we finish up with the web store, the calendar, and also our admin panel. So we have access to the back end through an admin portal that we can view data, statistics, things like that. Also open tickets and do some other things. So we're moving along quite nicely. We did have a bit of delay on the email side, but I don't think it'll impact the overall schedule. There was just some technical difficulties that they had with some of the sending and receiving, but I think that's been ironed out now, and it shouldn't impact our overall schedule. We're still on track with the password manager, and the DVPN will start up here shortly. So lots of great stuff going on. We also have our design, sort of our public-facing website design concept. We're getting that finished up. Should be finished within the next few days. So Atlas and I will take a look at that and sort of bless that and get that started. All of the content for the product pages, the homepage, all of that stuff is finished. So it's just applying the design and working through that. And so we're really getting involved now in sort of the later stages of the project. We're looking at the marketing stuff, finishing up the user flows and the experience through the test environment, getting it ready for our final testing. And what's nice is we're kind of doing this in piecemeal, where we've got the storage finished now, we've got the email finished, and so we can test those out and kind of get ahead of any tweaks and changes that we might want to see prior to the launch schedule. So we'll have the password manager then going into the test environment and then the DVPN. And once those two are kind of ironed out, we'll be working on the calendar, which isn't, I would say, is feature rich or complicated as the other components. So that will be a nice one to give us a couple weeks to really test and dig into the other parts of the application. So yeah, everything's going great, smooth, on track. When Alex gets back, we'll be working on our new homepage, getting that launched. And then there's a few tweaks that we wanted to do, a few things that he got tied up with our mega client. And so that got delayed a little bit, but we'll have our new ArkFi homepage getting finished up when he gets back. And I think that's about it. Anything else you wanted me to touch on the other parts of the project? We're working still on ArkNet. Not a whole bunch to show yet on that side, but that's a big part of our ongoing development here as well.
Yeah, this thing is a monster.
Yeah,
that we're putting together here. It's a lot. It's massive, and to be doing it in the short amount of time that we're doing it in, I think is something quite special. And to be able to be working with the great developers that we have on board. Obviously the proof is in the pudding. Testing, bugs. There's definitely going to be a lot of that, but I really have the confidence that we're going to end up with a product that's just going to be exceptional. People are going to absolutely love it.
Oh yeah. I've been even playing around, just using it. We can send ourselves emails and play with the components that we already have, and it's just super easy to use, really intuitive. I try to put myself kind of in the new user seat and pretend I don't really know what's supposed to be going on or happening, and clicking all over and acting dumb, inside the app, and everything's working pretty well. And when I find some things that we can improve, those are getting addressed, within 24, 48 hours. So we have a really nice process going now. There have been some little things that have come up that, UI related, whether it was technical functionality or whatever, but they've been addressed relatively quickly, or at least scoped out by the development team, so we know what we need to do to improve things. But we want to put, a product into everyone's hands when we finally launch, that it's going to work seamlessly, it's going to work fast, easy, efficiently, but then also, deliver on the promise of ultimate privacy. So, we're excited about where things are heading. And we're working on also the light mode design. We started out with the dark mode. We're also working on our light mode, so we can have that ready for launch as well. So a light mode and a dark mode, as well as, the public facing marketing materials are coming together nicely. And I think it's going to just be, it's going to be a well-rounded, complete, thorough product, and something we can be proud of and take to market and really make, I think, a big splash.
Absolutely, brother. We'll keep on trucking, building what we love to do here, and great to see the community here today live, gathered with us. Got a lot to look forward to, folks. And it's the whole phase again, right? Where we can't show, we can only tell folks what's going on. I mean, we already went through this, pre-launch of the ROI DAP. I think folks were quite impressed and happy with the quality of what we rolled out, of course. Then we went through the on-ramp And then consecutively after that, we went to the off ramps. So it's been a work and then show, and how the folks give us the feedback, which has always been appreciated. It's helped us to fine tune and amp up what we're offering. So we're looking forward to still a couple months out, but we're going to be able to not just talk about it, but show you, and then eventually have our selected folks that are going to be beta testing here with us in a testnet environment, and the whole process. I mean, I think we've grown accustomed to the way that we bring these things out to market, and I think our community as well has come to appreciate and like the way that we work, the attention to detail, and overall the safety, the security, and the smooth process of how everything's gone here. We're definitely going to continue with that trend, right? So looking forward to it. Great work.
Absolutely. We should be close to being able to show some things, with the new branding and some of the public facing stuff. I think, we can start to reveal some of that, and here shortly within the next few weeks, once we get that stuff buttoned up. But even on the new homepage that Alex is working on, really close to finishing. He had to abandon it for a few days to work with you at Atlas Someday, our big partner, and so he'll get back to that when he gets back. But even that has some of the kind of reveals some of the feature lists and the major components that we've talked about that are going into the app. So it'll be kind of a sneak peek at what the bigger picture is, and then we'll have the dedicated website for the privacy products and things. And I think getting that out sooner than later would be helpful too, so we can kind of point new NFT investors that direction, and they can see the branding, they can see the the scope of what we're building, ask questions, start helping to build out our FAQ sections. Those are always helpful. All the questions that we get from everybody, we try to address into those FAQs to help relieve some of the pressure on our communication channels and things. But then we can, we'll be closer. We're still targeting the end of March, which is coming up here in about 10 weeks, I think, maybe a little less. So we're still on track for that, and we're going to be pushing real hard and working in the background to make sure that we have everything ready for that public launch date. And as you mentioned, getting the test environment out and having a few people play with it prior to the public launch will be helpful. And if you're probably on this call, you might be on that short list. So stay tuned.
Yeah, let's get this crypto, baby.
Oh yeah, let's get this crypto.
All right. Well, I think it's time to transition into Mr. Z's presentation, bringing us all the news from the crypto streets, Wall Street, a crowd favorite here on the Ark podcast. Mr. Z, I'm handing it over to you, sir. Take us to the warp speed.
Absolutely. Could I share my screen?
Absolutely, sir.
And all right. Yeah, I hope everyone's well. It's nice to be here. And I think every Thursday we're going to have a good catch up on the markets, on what's going on. And just to message out, there's a bunch of you here that, have been DMing me for a little bit. And I will get back to all your DMs by the end of tonight and tomorrow. So yeah, a lot of people have been messaging me a lot, Atlas. And I feel the love every single week. It's pretty good. I love how Realtor vouches out for me and a few others. And I was doing some box breathing with Coach Roberto today. I love box breathing. Nothing better. Now, looking at the markets, right? Like a lot of folks have been asking me the same question, because these are pivotal moments where we're at the start of the year. And people ask, like, where is Ethereum going? Where's Bitcoin going? And usually what happens is when people ask me those questions, I go back to the past and give myself a title. I give myself a title and I go, history repeats itself, right? And I'll explain this in a near second, but I hope I don't take too much of your time. But this is so what you're seeing here, like on the chart, Mistletoe, are you able to see my screen?
Oh yeah.
Perfect. So yeah, so we'll keep with the theme of history repeats itself. And so what you're seeing, the first box you see on my chart is the first time sort of you can say the Trump rally happened and BTC touched its first ETF and we hit 64K. I think that was the first top. And then we took out liquidity, right? So this is history telling us that we take tops out at 64K, then we take out liquidity. And that's and what I did was I created a sort of a trend line right there. So where we really dropped from was 48K. This was back in 2021. Then in 2022, when the second sort of big ETFs started to come in, the grayscale ETFs, the big ones, I said the same thing to myself again. We're going to hit a top, and history will repeat itself. So this is the first time the ETFs came out, and we took out the previous high, and then we went down. And even there, at 48K, turned out to be a zone, and I'm like, it's going to take an event to reach this level again. And whilst I was doing this, I think this week we saw BTC tap into 48K. And I was getting a bunch of messages saying, is this a good time to buy? Is this a good time to hold? What's going on, Z? It seems to be pumping. And I said to them the same thing. History is going to repeat itself. And if we currently look at what BTC is doing right now, right? It's doing something very similar to the last two ETFs. So we had the first ETF, we hit 64K, we took out liquidity. Same thing in 2021, we hit an all-time high with the ETFs, and now we call this the new ETF, right? And we can give it the label of BlackRock, right? So when BlackRock take an interest, it's super interesting to follow them. So that's what I've been doing a little bit this day. So today I'll be giving some news, but I want to give you guys some of my own incentive of what I'm seeing here. So history repeats itself. And that's what we did. BlackRock ETF got announced, right, at this level. We made an all-time high. Well, not an all-time high, but a previous level high, right? So we took out previous levels the last couple of years, and we had 48K, and folks were messaging me saying, Z, this is going to be pumping now. And I said, be careful. This is taking out a previous high. And when we see this, normally we see sell-offs happen. And that's what happened. So this is what happened in the technical standpoint. Now in the real world, a few things happened this year, right? So ARK Invest, Kathy Woods, she basically sold a bunch of her Coinbase shares of her firm. So they sold 4.2 million of Coinbase. And then I posted all these tweets into DeFi links. So if any of you want to find those links, they're all in DeFi links for your category. So Kathy Woods sells her Coinbase shares, and then she does something really damn interesting. Let me see if I can get this tweet up here. Give me just 2 seconds, guys. So Kathy Woods and Grayscale start transferring a bunch of BTC onto Coinbase. This is really interesting. So this came out today, and Kathy Woods did it last week, and ARK Invest did it last week. So what they did was they transferred a bunch of, so Grayscale has transferred another 10,000 Bitcoins worth over $500 million, right, to Coinbase. So when these kind of moves happen, it's really interesting to see, because this thing moves the markets quite a bit, because people see this on the Block Explorer, and a bunch of institutions see this, and then they look for dips and they look for sell-offs. So this is something that we've seen here. Now, staying with the narrative, right, of BlackRock ETFs. One thing I wanted to mention to you guys. Now, this is super interesting. This is something I didn't realize until a friend of mine in Wall Street kind of nudged me towards this, and I started to look into a few big Bitcoin holding companies, right? So we know MicroStrategies. as a big hodler of Bitcoin, and they are known for buying the dip. One thing I didn't realize was were the holders of MicroStrategies. So if we go to Yahoo Finance, I've posted this link in the DeFi links. And what we see here is pretty interesting. So majority shareholders are divided by 60-40. So 40%, I'd say, is Michael Saylor and his board, and then you have a bunch of venture capitalists. And these venture capitalists are pretty interesting to see. So this is something we didn't track previously. So Vanguard, so capital investment, capital and international investors. This is Barclays Bank. This is a bunch of institutional money. They own 11% of MicroStrategies. Vanguard, right? Vanguard, right? The ETF gossip that we hear from Vanguard and their retirement funds that they're sort of linking with BTC, right? They own 8.25% of MicroStrategies. And now this big one here, BlackRock, right? So BlackRock has been in the news quite a bit, and it's to my surprise, BlackRock own a majority share in MicroStrategy. So every time Michael Saylor buys a dip or talks bullish about Bitcoin, realize he's got the biggest institutes behind him, right? So this is a little outlay of what happens in the, you can see, pretty insightful. This is what happens at institutional level. So BlackRock is owned by the biggest, you can say, venture capitalist in the world. So this week, so now I'm going to get to BlackRock, and so BlackRock has been in the news a little bit with their ETFs, and basically, so the other thing that happened with BlackRock was pretty interesting. Let me see if I can get the article up here. But so when they were announcing their ETF, they moved a bunch of Bitcoin. I think they moved almost, you can say, 11,000 Bitcoins onto you can say the ETF side. So now their cash reserves are about 60,000 in fiat, and their BTC reserve when they installed it was about 500 million. Well, this week the BlackRock ETF has hit its all-time high. So this is institutional money coming into crypto. So BlackRock Bitcoin ETF hits 1 billion month high in AUM in 1 week, right? So IBIT Holdings is the ETF name, and it consists 99% of Bitcoin and nearly 60,000 in fiat. It was the opposite when it first started. You had more fiat, and they've made a few different announcements here. So they said. So Robert Minishik, the head of their digital asset, this is their sort of their crypto shiller in the group. So he goes, "We are excited to see IBIT reach this milestone in its first week, reflecting strong investor demand. This is just the beginning. We have a long-term commitment focused on providing investors access to iShare quality ETFs." So I looked into iShares a little bit, and it also it's sort of like when we do a seed round or a pre-sale in tokens. This is how they do it in the retail market on the exchange. They offer, so if you get a piece of IBIT, you get a piece of iShare quality ETFs, and maybe one day I'll start to explain the iShares a little bit, because they have a bunch of Web3 involvement. So that's the news on BlackRock. When you see sell-offs happen, it's because big swaps are happening, and when big swaps are happening, venture capitalists they take out liquidity and then they buy dips. So currently we're at a dip, and I see this dip go even further below. I don't see it stop here. I think if we've seen history before, we have made lower lows from previous lows, and then we took out. So right now, I still have this region of 23K that I have lined up to see where the markets go. So that's a little outlay of what's happening with Bitcoin. And what's happening at the institutional level. So I've given you BlackRock and Cathie Woods. Now the other thing that's happened this week is the dollar has strengthened quite a bit. And I've posted some articles there a little bit here. So we had the retail price index that was announced. And what that proved was, even though there was higher interest rates, and there was higher sort of like loans weren't being approved and a bunch of other things, like people still spent a bunch of money. in this sort of, you can say, Christmas term and New Year's term. A lot of money was spent on a bunch of things. So that's what strengthened the dollar, and we showed that there was a 0.4% increase in sales to last year. So that's one thing that happened. The other thing that happened is the unemployment claims have dropped down in the U.S. So if we look at the announcements here, if we go back to Wednesday, what we see here is the U.S. dollar, right? Retail sales increased by 0.6%. Retail sales have increased by 0.4% to last year. And the other thing was the unemployment rates, which came out, I believe, today. And what they show is it was predicted to be 206 the unemployment claims for the month of Jan. But in fact, the opposite happened. We have actually had lower unemployment claims. So when things like this happen, people are shifting their money into dollar. And when money is going into dollar, assets like Bitcoin, like gold, and other sort of like ETFs take a dip because people are taking profits. That's what's happening at the speculator level. People are taking profits and then putting it back into dollar and waiting for the next dip, just like we do in crypto. And that's what's happening at Bitcoin. Now, another thing happened. So I said this is a big year for crypto, and it's because there's a bunch of, you can say, things happening, and one of the biggest thing is the elections. So one big sort of, if people were looking at the news, Vivek Ramaswamy, he was one of the candidates for Republicans, and he's super crypto friendly. Like this is a person who's self-made, and he's super bullish about how blockchain and how Web3 can transform and bring a bunch of utility. He's talked about it in his presidential rallies. He's been on tour talking about it. And so the big update that happened this week was he dropped out of the US election and he endorsed Trump. Right? So normally when things like this happen, it brings a different rally to the US dollar. So Trump gets Vivek's thing, wins Iowa. And then another big thing happened, right? So Trump went on to basically make some announcements, and he talked about CBDCs. And I'm going to show you a little clip, and we can end the podcast. But that's the last thing I want to show you guys here. So this was pretty interesting. If I can find it here. But thus far, yeah, there we go. So let me just play this little clip for you guys. And so this is Trump talking about CBDCs in his last rally. So I said it's a big year for crypto. So yeah, let me play this now.
Tonight, I'm also making another promise to protect Americans from government tyranny. As your president, I will never allow the creation of a central bank digital currency. You know, I didn't know you know so much. I'm very well, New Hampshire, very smart people, very current. You know what they're doing. Such a currency would give a federal government, our federal government, the absolute control over your money. They could take your money. You wouldn't even know it was gone. This would be a dangerous threat to freedom, and I will stop it from coming to a.
So yeah, I wish I could show you the full thing, but this is quite big. So he's saying that sort of government tyranny is rooted with CBDCs, and when he becomes president, he will stop America from going to that. So he goes, such a currency would give a federal. So we talk about privacy here at ARK quite a bit because it's one of our biggest utilities. And so he makes a statement out here. He goes, such a currency would give a federal government, our federal government, the absolute control over your money. They could take your money and you wouldn't even know it was gone, right? So this is something that we've kind of talked about a lot in previous sort of podcasts. And it's good to see that he's on the side of not endorsing CBDCs, because that is a slippery slope. And I don't like the fact that you can print as much as you want in CBDCs. Like, there's no market cap in tokens. So we'll see how things develop. And as I said, like, every election rally is linked to crypto and to fiat and to the dollar value in a significant way. So that's why we keep an eye on the charts. and we'll keep an eye on this development. So I want to see what more he has to say about crypto and CBDCs. But yeah, I hope so everyone, like, all the links that I post in are in DeFi links on our Discord. So if you guys need any reference, because I get DM'd about this, so like, where could you post me the link that you talked about in the sort of Ark channel? And I'm like, yeah, you can go into our DeFi links and you can find it there. And maybe next week I can talk about Tether a little bit and what they're going through with the United Nations and complaints and compliances and stuff. So that's another rabbit hole to go into. But I've taken a bunch of your time, guys. The other thing I want to talk about next week is Polygon 2.0, because we are part of the Polygon family here. So we'll talk about utility coming in this year in the roadmap. But that's completely for me. Thank you, guys.
Wow, that was great. Thank you, Mr. Z. And folks, we're going to move on over to the Q&A, as we like to do after the podcast recording, where you're all able to come and ask your questions. Be happy to answer them. We're going to be back next week. Same day, Thursday, same time, 2 p.m. EST, 7 p.m. UTC. Folks, thank you for coming. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next Thursday.